All right, it looks like we are live streaming. So it is my distinct pleasure to welcome Maureen Fura. And we are going to have an exciting, incredible conversation today about her company, Mammha, as well as maternal mental health. Let me give you a little bit of background on Maureen. She is incredible. She's been tackling one of the foremost problems in women's health, which is the problem of maternal mental health. This is a topic that we're all really passionate about here at FemTech Fridays. And just as a bit of background about Maureen, she has spent the last 16 years in this space. She co-founded the National Coalition for Maternal Mental Health, leading the first national awareness campaign for maternal mental health, and co-producing Dark Side of the Full Moon, the first documentary to expose the gaps in maternal mental health care in the United States. She is a PSI coordinator, a support group leader, and now the founder of Mammha, a platform using technology to make sure that no parent slips through the cracks. Maureen, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here with us. Um, I will just pop right into the questions if that works for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as I just said, you've spent the last 16 years working across advocacy, awareness, policy, community. What first drew you to this work,
Mm.
and what experiences ultimately led you to form Mama?
Um, so my own experience having my son and not being able to find any help when I was pregnant, I was in grad school and um, went to bed one day and woke up with like a mental health crisis and didn't know what was happening. And it took me 190 days, 29 doctors to be able to find the help. And I remember when thinking like, is this normal? Like, was what happened to me like asking for help and doctors being like, oh, you're gonna have to white knuckle it or you should be happy. Like, I don't think I'm gonna make it to the end of my pregnancy. Or I'm gonna take my life right after. And once I was able to find the help, um, I was like, this is broken. And I needed to know, like, was it just me? Was I special or unique? And then made the movie and realized, like, no, this is the standard of care, is that there is no standard of care. And I was so shocked that it was like we're in the 2000s. It was 2008. Like, what is happening? So that's what led me to this topic. I was in school to work for the UN. Like that was my dream. So
Oh,
I wanted to work like overseas and with women in a different community speaking another language. So this was like a big shock for me that my focus would be on the US and mothers in the US um and getting into this tech space, it was more frustration of doing so much advocacy and raising awareness, even legislation, and still seeing mothers die. It was hard. It's hard. So it was like there has to be a better way to fix this system to hit all the failure points, and that's where technology really offered something new to be able to scale and to fix like this very broken mental health ecosystem.
wow. Thank you for sharing your very powerful story. Did you say 29 doctors?
Oh my God. Yeah, it was insane.
Oh my
It's
gosh. I am so
crazy.
sorry. Well, I'm really sorry that you went through that, but what a powerful pivot to turn your own experiences and your own pain and your own struggle into something that would help other women. And you mentioned that making the documentary gave you additional insights and connected you with others. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that experience and making the documentary, how that came to be, and what you learned from that.
Um, so I had never made a movie before. I wasn't in film school. I just picked up a camera, worked with another mom, and I think it's a really great way to understand an issue, because you can get into places that you probably couldn't get into with the camera and telling a story. And I always knew like I was a Peace Corps volunteer and did
Oh,
projects and programs, and um, I remember leaving my post and being like, oh, could people understand what the program was? Like, I was like, story's the way I should have gone. Like, story, everybody gets story. So the film really helped to create a vehicle to like hang um, these really big like topics and these questions like what is happening. And I think what I learned most from that is that I think it's really hard when motherhood crashes into mental health. I
Mhm.
think it makes us feel very uncomfortable that your mother, this piece could be not well. And I think it shakes us, our psyche to the core. I think.
Mhm.
So that's why it's been so slow to for doctors to do something and policy to do something and insurance to pay for something. Like
Mhm.
it's been a battle. Like,
Mhm. So I think that we're probably, in a room full of like-minded folks, but just to back it up a little bit, please help our audience understand the scope of this maternal mental health crisis and
oh,
just any kind of stats and facts you
yeah,
want to give to
yeah.
shape the picture.
Sure. So it's 1 in 5 women.
Mhm.
And then in other populations, it's even higher. So military women, 1 in 3. Women of color, one in 3. It could be women living in like Alaska, it's like 1 in 3. So like where there's less sunlight. So 1 in 5. So if you think about like a pregnant yoga class, like if you looked around, if there's 10 women, 2 of them are probably experiencing maternal mental health complication like depression or anxiety. And there are risk factors, like if you had anxiety or depression as a
Mm.
teen or in your 20s, um, they've found like new genetic markers. There's a great company called Dionysus, and you can do a blood test and see if you have one of these markers that reacts kind of wonky to hormones, the sudden jump or drop. So we're learning more. So that's 1 in 5. But it is the most preventable leading cause of death in the postpartum period, which is really terrible. So they're finding women are at most risk between months 6 through 9 in their postpartum period of of suicide, of losing their life. And what's the one time where women are left to fall through a massive gap? Is that six weeks or 6 months? So that's where they're most vulnerable. And so one of the biggest other kind of statistics is that even if a woman is screened, 75% of those women don't find their way to care. And that's because the standard of care has been to give her a piece of paper with all of these outdated phone numbers of therapists on it, right? And the doctor's like, here you go. Call the numbers. And that was a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy, right? So you're a mom and like maybe you have a moment in between bleeding and doing all your stuff and breastfeeding and right, and then you call the first number and they're like, oh, I don't take your insurance, it's like $250. Oh, I take your insurance but I'm booked for 3 weeks. So like after a while you're like, I
Mm.
can't do that. So it's like broken on the identification, it's broken on the how to get through the treatment, how to find treatment. All of that is just really complex. So and it causes really hard things for kids too. So when your mom isn't goo-gooing and gagaing, you need that for brain development. It's really important as a baby. And for me, during pregnancy, so much cortisol was baking my little baby. I was just flicking on so many genes that this little baby didn't really need. So that part is really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, see, one thing you mentioned was the outdated therapist list and the doctors really not knowing. What are some other barriers to care that you've identified in your own experience or in talking to other women?
Oh my gosh, you guys. So in the state of Alabama, of course, it's Alabama. So we're in almost every state. So we have moms from everywhere. Here's a prime example. Mom from Alabama, she has Medicaid, but the state doesn't offer therapy to people with Medicaid unless they're under the age of 19. But she has some special postpartum like plan, but it runs out. So everyone's like, no, I can't see her. I can't see her. So we call the senator, right? We call the congressman. The congressman's like, chief of staff is like, well, that's a state issue. That's not. I'm like, you were elected. You were elected by the people. These are your people. This mom is not okay,
Right.
right? And then you get the Department of Health in there and they're like, oh no, we can see her. And then you call back again, no, we can't see her. So that is this huge piece.
Mm,
It's huge, right? Like,
yeah.
they just make it so complicated and it doesn't have to be. And the societal stuff happens, like this is going to
Mm.
cost the system even more money not to treat her. It's really sad.
Oh, wow, absolutely. I appreciate you really highlighting some of those systemic issues and health insurance, of course, a big barrier. People who use Medicare, excuse me, Medicaid.
Yeah.
That's really a powerful example. And before we move on to talk about your company, I just want to touch on one more area that I bet you
Yeah.
have something to say on, which is the stigma,
Yeah.
right? Talk to me a little bit about the stigma around maternal mental health that you've observed and or experienced.
So I think it's come a long way. I really do. I think that was one of the gifts of COVID that
Mm,
came out. I think mental health was pushed to the forefront and helped to create conversations around mental health in youth, mental health in adults, mental health in moms. So I see more moms reaching out than before and telling
great.
their doctors. I see more mothers able to say, they recognize the symptoms, partners recognize. So I think we've actually come a really long way, and I'm so happy about it. But there are still doctors like, a lot of doctors are doing great. Like, I love them. But there are some that are still like Neanderthals dragging their like they're like, screen, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, what are you? Nobody should be having a baby with you. Like this.
Right.
Come on, man. Come on.
Oh gosh. Wow.
So I
Wow.
think women, I think the stigmas, I think there's been a lot of like good stuff happening in that space where women are less afraid to say I don't feel right. Where back in the day, I think it was a little bit harder for women to say
Okay. Well, speaking of good stuff happening in the space, we have to talk about your company.
it.
Tell us about it. Tell us how it supports women. Where did this light bulb moment happen for you, if you
Yeah.
can? Just, I'd love to know everything about it.
Yeah, so we created like the better pipeline for women. So we thought doctors, we just needed to help them screen. We were like, just help them screen and they'll pay for it. Well, that only solves one piece of the issue, and they didn't want to pay for it because really, women, this is huge. Like women's health, big aha moment, gets paid less. They don't get paid very much. And
Hmm.
they're at it. So like gynecologists and OBGYNs actually make their rate of pay hasn't gone up for so many years. So they're asked to do so much, and also more women are going into that field. So that was something. So the doctors weren't going to pay. But we learned like we needed to create the care navigation. That was really important. That was really the missing piece. And so we created that. And then to be able to sustain ourselves, we had to add the contracted therapists and the psychiatrists, the specialists to create just like a one-stop kind of ecosystem for providers so that they could feel comfortable asking, knowing that we're going to take care of everything afterwards. Um, yeah, so it's been really great. We're in actively like 11 states. We're working with the March of Dimes. We're working in lots of hospital systems. We're working with states like Maine and North Dakota. And we have other states ready to come online. So it's been very healing for me to work with these people to be able to create a lifeline for women that might be having a hard time.
Wow, that is just incredible. Now, if you asked me to name 11 things off the top of my head, I probably wouldn't be able to, but if I'd love to hear the 11 states. And of course, because we're coming from the University of Miami, I need to know
Yeah.
Florida is one of those
Oh
states.
my gosh, of course. So I'm in Coconut Grove. So of course Florida's up there. Yeah, so Florida, Texas, California, Virginia, North Carolina. Maine is huge. We're in all of Maine. Um, Connecticut, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri. Where are the other ones?
You're crushing it.
Maryland.
You're doing great.
North Dakota is coming on board pretty soon. We're talking with Oklahoma. So that's a big change too, is seeing all these states. It's become like like let's solve this. Let's finish this. Like let's fix it. Which
That's
is
amazing.
really great.
So I saw one of the questions from the audience popped up, and I think it's a great question. What has been the response from women on this initiative? And how do they hear about it?
So we work with the doctors themselves, the hospitals, the NICUs, the home visitors, the WIC, the public health nurses. So we come from the space of somebody that a mother already trusts, and then we're that source that these women will flow through. So we'll take care of everything. So it's been really great. We always hear like, "Oh my gosh, I've never felt so supported," oh, I didn't have to figure out anything. And that's so healing that we can catch someone really fast and
Mhm.
we can get them connected and feeling better really fast. So they
Yeah.
don't have to wait so long. We don't have to have such tragic consequences from such a broken system.
Wow. I love that. And that must be really heartwarming to get that feedback from women in need.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
So you're in 11 states and they're very different states. And
Yeah.
my next question was, what are some of the ways in which you have found you might need to culturally tailor some of
Mm.
your initiatives or interactions? Because
Yeah.
you've talked about, for instance, women in Alaska not getting sunlight, and we know women of
Mhm.
color have additional stressors already on top of everything. And so I'd love to just hear a little bit about any cultural tailoring that you've done.
Yeah, so one thing we never use the words depression or anxiety. Well, that's rare. So it's like emotional wellness. It's we learned that by working with moms here in Florida, like a mom from the Caribbean. So I heard you're feeling depressed. I'm not depressed. I have headaches and my stomach hurts and I can't go to bed. Okay, okay. So we learned pretty quickly, like those are pretty stigmatizing. Um,
Mm.
words that the words are stigmatizing, but we can talk about the symptoms and that makes it easier to be able to support women. We do translate a lot of what we do into lots of languages because we work with hospital systems all over, and they have parents from Burma. And so we have Punjabi and we have Vietnamese language and we have Cantonese. So we have a nice track of messages that are all translated and localized. So it's not like Google Translate. It's like real people from that country, from that area have worked the messaging, which has been really good because it should be a solution for all women, not just some women, or just women that speak English. And then I think that the cultural piece of learning to talk about it in a way that feels less stigmatizing, and then also having therapists that speak the language that look like them is really important, and having care coordinators that look like them and speak like them is really important.
Gosh, those are amazing, amazing steps that you've taken to really build an inclusive environment for all mothers. That is really, really amazing. I wish we had more of that in our healthcare system.
I know,
Gosh,
right?
like every hospital could use that, but no. Um, so one thing we always talk about in FemTech Fridays is
Yeah.
what it's like to be a founder and what it's like to enter the FemTech space and the challenges. And we just want to keep it very real here. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that experience from you.
Do it. Let's do it. I have so much to say because this is never supposed to be my path. Oh my gosh, it wasn't. It wasn't. This is hard. It is so hard. And it goes up and it goes down and it goes up and it goes down and it goes up and it goes down and it does it within a day. It's like dun, dun, like that. It's really hard. I think it's important to be with other founders,
Mm.
to connect with some because they get it. And it's important to have some mentors. I have some mentors that will meet with me and they're like, "You're doing so good. Just keep your head down." I'm like, "I am," because you're in the trenches and you don't know if you're doing well. You just don't know. You
Hmm.
might be getting market validation, but the money doesn't look it yet. And they're like, but you're doing it. And you're like, no, doesn't it have to? No, put your head down, put your head down. So I think that's really important because when you're a founder, you're doing it, you're like creating something that hasn't never been created.
Yeah.
And there's excitement in it because you can't really do it wrong. But it there it's lonely. It can be really lonely and you can get really hard on yourself. Like, what are you doing? So it's important to have some reality checks with others who can help you see where you're at. That's one. Another one is it's sad, but I met a man, right? And he was like, had a whiteboard, and he's like, I sketched out what this could look like. And he was promised so much money. Like, what? I was like, I've been doing this. I have users, I have moms, I have tech that I made, I have this. And I was like, you have a whiteboard and you could be thrown all this money? Like, that was my first, like, smack in the face of that, that, that reality. And I was really angry. Like, I still am really angry, but I'm like, I'm gonna do it anyway, and I'm gonna shove your face in it, right? But it it is a reality. It's good to know. Like, that is, you just have to work harder, and you have to, like, I don't know, I'm very Gen X, so like I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it myself, and I'm gonna do it, and I'll do it with duct tape, and I'm gonna do it. So just leave me alone. But that part was really unfair. I felt it was really unfair. I was really
Oh,
frustrated. I was like, your whiteboard could get like a couple $1 million. Are you kidding me? Oh, what a great idea.
wow. Well, I mean, patriarchy in action here. So,
Yeah, that part's hard.
yes, you're having to work twice as hard and sell yourself twice as hard, probably to get half the money because you're a woman in a tech
Yeah.
space,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you said something, a couple things that really struck me. One was there's no way to do it wrong. And I just was blown away by that
Oh.
because what a brilliant and beautiful way to think about it. I
Hmm.
think often we trip ourselves up by thinking, well, if I'm not doing exactly right, then, what's the point? But I love that you said there's no way to do it wrong.
Yeah, and I
You're
think it
coming up
was
with
from
something new.
somebody in Miami University said once, like, in tech, if you're waiting for perfection, then you waited too long because the competition is already pushing their stuff out. So you have to be cool with, like iteration one, version 2.5. Like, it's just learn as you go. And so I have ADD, and that's really great because I have learned that I make so many mistakes. And like, okay, I'll learn from, okay, all right. So, like, being okay, and knowing that that's how you learn, it really is a good pairing in tech, and being a founder and creating something is like being okay with just pushing things out and learning from it and tweaking and pushing and tweaking. Um, and that's really the journey. If you wait for it to look perfect, then you waited too long. It's going to be obsolete. Somebody else
Yeah,
is going to do it.
that's an incredible insight. Absolutely. And the other thing I wanted to circle back to that you said this was never meant to be my path.
No.
So tell me a little bit more about that. And also, where did you get the skill sets? Also, you're a busy woman, you're a mom, you're in grad school and you get pregnant. Like, how did you make the time to gain these skill sets?
Um, so I mean, I don't know. I think maybe Peace Corps,
Okay.
I've always been like a social entrepreneur. So to
Okay.
me, this is just another vehicle, like a tool where the film was a tool, like creating a program was a tool, writing a grant, was a tool. So to me, it's just a different kind of like tool to create social change.
Mhm.
Um, and to use those same skills have been like really transferable, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's outstanding. I kind of lost my place in my question, so let me just look really
Sorry.
quick. Yeah, we'll kind of zoom back out for a minute. I'd love to talk about more. the big picture of healthcare in this country.
Mm,
It's really a common theme in our conversations on FemTech Fridays to talk about the ways that unfortunately our healthcare system absolutely fails women, from start to finish. And
yeah.
do you think that there are ways in which we can get these issues taken more seriously?
I mean, yes, because we have. I mean, I remember when this wasn't even on the radar, and we did a lot of awareness building, a lot of knocking on the doors of Congress and getting blisters and galvanizing women. And it felt like an impossible feat, but it just started with a small group. And then that group just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It didn't happen overnight and it took time. Um, but it did happen. And it just shows that there is power in people coming together to like create change and that there are early adopters, in every kind of field that want to do something new. Um, and I think that's really exciting. I think that's exciting for people that are taking like founder or femtech classes is like, where are you getting hung up and like how would you want it to be different for you? And like, what would that look like? And then what could you make to do that? And then just tinkering with something and just try it out, like come up with your like least viable, like minimum, spend just a little bit of money and like see if it would work and then get some feedback and tweak it. And I think that's how we make it a better system is
Hmm.
if we participate more. And especially, oh my gosh, I, I know it's great when men enter the femtech space, but I think it's ridiculous. I think it's so crazy. So, yeah, because let's be real, like you never had a baby. You don't know what it's like to do that. You don't know what it's like to put your feet in the stirrups and to open up. You don't know. You really, really, really don't. And so I think women need to think about that and say, what could I do differently? How do I want this to feel? How do I want this to go? And then just create from there. Um, it gives women a lot of power in that sense. And there's so much more of us, in this in femtech space, like create the next solutions for us. I want you to. We're all waiting for you to do it, please, So
Yeah.
broken. Like, come on, do it.
Yeah, yeah. So very big rallying cry from you regarding other founders who might be in the space or watch this
Yeah.
later when we put the recording up to just get out there, to do the dream, to make it happen.
Yeah.
Um, and you talked a lot about community and ways in which you have felt supported by other founders in the fintech
Mm.
space, finding your people, finding great mentors. What are some of the ways in which you've been able to connect with people? Is it conferences? Is it social media?
Mm.
How are you connecting and meeting these folks?
So, um, one is like when you get some investment dollars,
Okay.
you do get introduced to like a team. So I've taken like social impact investments. And so that's been a game changer for me, the American Heart Association, Startup Health. So you have these people that want to see you succeed. Um, I know I don't lean on them all enough. My husband's always like, call them up. That's what they're there for. It's hard to ask for help, especially as a woman, but I'm learning to do it better. And so that's where I found like those kind of startup people that really support me and help me think through like how do I do this? And like, am I doing okay? Like, do I want to go for VC money? No, you don't want to go for VC money. You want to be in charge of you. Like,
Okay.
don't look at other people because they're gonna have to pay that back if they can't do it 10 times. Maureen, put your head down and just, so having really smart people in your corner and so that's where I found those people.
Hmm.
And that's been key. And then doing the documentary was huge because I met so many people in this space and didn't have the intention of creating this, but had a lot of leverage because I was in that space for so long and doing so much and it's, like you meet these people, you lobby with these people, you're like, going to the conferences with these people. And so these people help support you, and then you bring them in your team, and then it's just a bunch of passionate people trying to like fix this. I think that's been key too, is having the right people on your team that are just as passionate as you are. Like we're like really doing this because we want it to be better.
Mhm.
And that's what inspires us like every day.
Wow, that's incredible. So it really sounds like that mixture of professional partnerships, but also
Yeah.
your community, your people, and
Yeah.
finding your tribe kind of. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at the time. We're gonna wrap up with a couple of questions, and then I do want to take some questions from the audience. So folks, please do put your questions for Maureen in the chat. Um, I have two questions. One is, if you could wave a magic wand and
Hmm.
change one thing about the US healthcare system as it relates to women's health, maternal health, what would that be?
You caught me at such a bad time. I'm so angry at insurance right now.
Oh,
Oh, I would obliterate, I would obliterate the insurance system. I would. That would be my want, is that everybody, we have a GameStop moment and we all walk out on it. And we stop letting people like profit off of giving us really minimal care. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. Like right now, Aetna is paying therapists the same amount of money for a 60-minute session as for a 45-minute session. So now the standard of care is going to change. People are only going to get 45 minutes, not an hour.
right.
And then if you look at how much money they've made last year, it was $3 billion. So they rose their revenue by 9.9%. That's a prop. I'm so mad. I'm so mad. And I hope somebody watching has a solution to tear it apart and figure it out. Because I'm ready. All of us are ready. I know old people, I'm old, but older people who are ready. I know young people who are ready. It's broken. It's
Yeah.
broken and it doesn't work. And it's gross. I don't know. Sorry, that was so
No.
unprofessional, but I'm so mad. I'm so
Listen, we love a justifiable rage, and for many years I taught about health and healthcare to pre-med, pre-health students, and so I feel very passionately that the reform for healthcare in our nation is overdue, must be done.
yes,
It's really disheartening that we have one of the wealthiest nations in the world and the
yes,
worst healthcare system of any industrial nation in the entire world. So I
yes.
feel your rage, I feel your pain. I'll
That
do
would
one
be
more.
my
Yes. Okay, that's my magic. I got
oh,
one more question,
so
then we'll go to the
juicy.
audience. I
Yeah.
see some stuff in the chat, but tell us what's next for Mama. Tell us what's next for you. Promote. This is your moment, and I know it's hard as women. We are not taught to promote ourselves or promote our
Oh,
products. Please promote. Tell us, how we can find you, and also your
oh,
documentary. Tell us
yeah,
all
yeah.
everything.
So you can find the documentary online. We put it live on YouTube this year because it's 10 years old. And so you can just look under Dark Side of the Full Moon. You can watch it. It is triggering. I will give a trigger warning. If you
Okay, thank
are
you.
having a hard time, it's probably not the best thing to be watching because some of
Great.
the stories are pretty heavy. And so I just want people to know that. For Mama, we've started working with pediatricians. Pediatricians asked us, "Hey, can you do this for kids?" And so in Miami is where we're piloting that, and so I think that's the next phase of what we're doing is moving from like mothers to kids, like kind of following families through and being like a trusted uh, pipeline and support for doctors at in those working with those populations. So that's kind of where that's going. My dream right now is totally I want to start a new company. This one's so exciting. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
I want to make a company where like taking menstrual blood and turning it into stem cells. Like,
Oh,
right? So I
love.
saw somebody's doing that. And then I was like, the one thing I learned by doing this company is that you don't have to be the first person. There are so many companies
Mm-hmm.
now, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to be the first. You just have to do it in a different way or in your own way. Like, how many burger joints are there? That is something I learned because I was the first on the place and now there's so many. So, like, you don't have to be the first. There's enough space for everybody. So like It's like, I could do that. I could totally do that. You just have to work with the right people. You don't have to know exactly how to do everything. You just have to bring the right people in. Like,
Wow.
so exciting.
So exciting and so empowering. And I love that you're quite literally taking the power of women and women's
Mm.
bodies and turning it into solutions and health. I mean, what's more beautiful than that? So
Oh,
I can't wait to see your next step. We'll have to have you back.
that's awesome.
And what great advice to all of us too, right? Like you don't have to know how to do everything. Find the right people, you partner with those people. Incredible.
Yeah.
All right, so we have just 10 minutes left, and we have some like comments that are just very much cheering you on. Lauren
Oh,
says, yes,
so
solutions for
nice.
early life. We love that you're partnering with the pediatricians.
Oh,
Caroline says, yes, it's so true. Health insurance is truly making us sicker. It's really, and I know you know this, but have you seen the stats? Like women's life expectancy is actually going down. Here we are in 2026. Our life expectancy is, for the first time in a long time, actually going in the wrong direction. It's terrible. So Judith asks, are you interested in academic partnerships for research
oh,
purposes?
yes, definitely. Yes, it's one thing we haven't done a lot of that I think would be game changing that we've heard is to publish. And that's
Yeah.
one thing we haven't done that we need to do. So yes, yes, anybody who we got data, we got good, juicy stuff. We are open. Yeah, yeah.
That's incredible. So for the, because I know that there are researchers in this audience, what kind of data do you have? Is it survey? Is it interview? Is it logging in? What kind of
Yeah.
metrics are you have?
So we have, I mean, it's fascinating. We can see that women in the state of Maine are screening 60% positive. We can see that women in Missouri screen at 15% positive, which is basically the national average, but 9% for self-harm thoughts, which the average is like 6%. So I've never seen them that high. So we have that kind of like data where you can look and get a snapshot of like the mental health of mothers in different zip codes in different areas. We can also see like what kind of interventions work best, how frequent, like what scores do women tend to respond right away, which ones do they tend not to respond right away. Like, so it kind of can help inform different intervention like modalities, I think, which would be
Hmm.
really fascinating. But I really love looking at that population level data to be able to go like, what is happening in Maine?
I was
What
just about to
is
ask
happening
you,
in
what
Maine?
is happening in Maine? I mean, really?
Right? Like I don't know. Like I've been told that they have a lot of there's a lot of trauma, a lot of poverty. I don't know if
Mhm.
that's it. I don't know if it's the weather. I don't know. But then Missouri, right? But those women don't talk back to us. So they're more closed. It's so fascinating. So we're able to see things that through doing all of these screenings and having lots of interactions with women, like who tends to like interact more. Like anxious women are first to respond and they're the first to be like, okay, I'm going to do this. Oh, I've tried to do this. And like depressed women are really hard to reach. They're like, if they're over 20, they're really hard to like bring in. They're really, really hard. So like those kinds of things, we can see all of that.
Gosh, that is so fascinating. Well, I know that we're going to be following up with you ASAP, as you just said, to get into these data because that is hugely powerful. Um, and I am going to make a selfish push.
Yeah.
I don't think I heard you say that you're in Kentucky yet, and
No, not yet.
so I do a lot of my sleep research in Appalachia, and this is another area I have to tell you. I worked with women who'd experienced preterm birth, and it's more common there, and we don't know why. And I just would, so this is like a personal pitch. I would love to see you get in Kentucky. It's a really high need population that would, I think, benefit so much from Mama. Absolutely.
Oh, well, we will target it. If you have any contacts, we'll go. We'll go. We love it.
Great. All right, yes, we'll
Yeah.
talk after. So I see Alex says the sun goes down at 3 p.m. in winter in Maine. Oh my
Right?
gosh.
That
I
could
think that has
totally
to do
be
a
it.
lot, right? I mean, that has to impact people's mental health, right?
Yeah. And we're seeing it in the screen scores. It's not crazy.
Yeah, it
Oh,
really is. It really is. Hi, Cynthia. Cynthia says yes. Yes, Kentucky. Great to see you. Um, yeah, so any other questions? You can raise your hand. I will call out to you or you can put it in the chat. I think if anything, you've done such a great job of explaining things as you go, which is
Mhm.
one of the problems with great communicators. People don't often have a
It's
ton of questions for
okay.
you.
I think I
But
would just challenge anybody who's listening, like really just go create something, just like put it out there, just try it and like just
Mhm.
really challenge yourself to just try pushing something out, and just see what happens. Like use it as an experiment and play around with it and ask yourself like what part of like my journey wherever it is do I keep getting hung up and where it could or like where could it even be better, there are so many places that I think we run into every day. And I think young people, I don't know the age of people that are listening, but I think they have a really fresh take on some different areas. Like I know me, I'm like perimenopause. Somebody explain this to me. But I'm sure young people have like a really fresh take on what's missing and we're all waiting for it. So you don't have to wait for permission. We're all cheering you on and just, yeah, push it out there.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Lawrence asks, have you engaged with WHA Women's Health Advocates?
I don't think so.
Okay, that could
Um,
be a cool
WHA, that's it.
opportunity. I know that you've done a lot with the American Heart
Oh,
Association
yeah.
and,
And March of Dimes has
and
been
March of Dimes.
huge. Oh my gosh. We're so honored to partner with giants. Like, oh my, yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Well, one thing that I want to just highlight is you talk about calling your representatives and getting results. You talk about getting in with doctors and getting results.
Mhm.
I think that we all are going to be really inspired by this to be more active, to be more engaged, to ask for what we need. And
Mhm.
importantly, I feel like the through line here has been hearing you say, create what you need and don't be afraid. There's no wrong way to do it.
No, no.
Just get out there and do it.
Yeah, yeah. We're all waiting for you. Yeah.
Cynthia asked, do you plan to engage with international women's organizations in the future? That's a great question,
I
Cynthia.
love that, Cynthia. We launched Manya in India this past month, and we have it's really awesome. Like that's my heart, right? To work international. So we have therapists in India. We're going to learn a lot culturally, right? But the doctors there are like, thank you for having something. So we have partners that we work with. So it's not just like white woman, right? Which is stupid. It's about working with each other. And we did incubate a company in Nigeria called Lavender Care. So, I mean, yeah, yes. Internationally, yes, yes.
And what a perfect tie into your background, right? With Peace
Yeah.
Corps and international, really impressive, really impressive.
Thank you.
Um, well, we are all impressed and amazed by you. And
Oh,
Lauren is offering to make a warm introduction to the
oh,
WHA between the two of you, which I think will be
that is
great.
so
We're seeing the
nice.
synergy happen in real time. I
Thank
love that.
you.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Maureen, this has been such an incredible conversation. I know that you are busy, you are creating, you are doing all the things. We're so grateful that you took the time to speak with us
Thank you.
and to learn more about what you're doing. We will stay in touch, and thank
Yes.
you so much
Oh,
for
this is an honor.
educating and enlightening and inspiring us, most importantly.
Thank you. Thank you guys for the opportunity.